The Legend of Zelda. Many years ago, Prince Darkness Ganon stole one of the Triforce with power. Princess Zelda had one of the Triforce with wisdom. She divided it into 8 units to hide it from Ganon before she was captured. Go find the 8 units linked to save her. And that's all the story we're getting from the game. So what's up, everybody? Once again, my name is Matt, and welcome to just The Legend of Zelda. That's right, we're going old school, man, back to where it all began, which is kinda weird because, generally speaking, I don't really LP a whole lot of retro games on this channel, but there has been a lot of interest lately in seeing me LP some of the older Zelda titles, so you know what? I am happy to oblige, and we're gonna start with Zelda 1, where it all began. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, it's been a very, very long time since I've played the original Legend of Zelda. Like, I could not even tell you the last time I played this game, let alone beat it, so I don't know, man. I'm a little bit wary, but I'm definitely going to brush up on my Zelda 1 knowledge just so we can get through here, because here's the thing about Zelda 1. If you know what you're doing, it's a fairly short game. However, if you don't know what you're doing, if like it's your first time playing or something, this game is probably going to take you a while to get through because it is notorious for not really telling you what to do. There are secrets everywhere in this game and little indication of where they actually are, so yeah, you really gotta pay attention and sort of know what you're doing to get through here easily, because this game, well, it is kind of unforgiving. Like a lot of NES games back in the day were fairly hard, and this game is no exception. However, it is a very good case study on game design, so I think it will be fun to go through here and talk about the history of the series. Anyways, we got bombs fairly early, which is good because, well, I can place one here and check it out. Yeah, there's this hidden little cave. Little to no indication that it's there, but if you know that it's there, you can come inside and get yourself another heart container just like that. Now, you'll notice that that guy said you can take one, either the heart container or like a potion. If you take the potion, I'm pretty sure you lose out on getting the heart container, so yeah, do not take the potions, guys. Trust me, the heart container is well worth it in the long run. And speaking of heart containers, we're actually going to get another one right away because this game, it's fairly open. Like, you don't need to do the dungeons in any particular order. You can pretty much go wherever you want right off the bat. So you can get a lot of heart containers and explore a lot of different areas before you even go to the first temple, which is pretty awesome, honestly. Like, a lot of people love that about Zelda 1. I'm sort of half and half because I do appreciate the exploration of Zelda 1 and the openness that it does have. However, I also like the direction that future Zelda games sort of provide, given that the players sort of need an objective, or at least an idea of what they should do next. Alright, so in this cave, check it out. We can get ourselves an upgrade to our sword already. So there we go. That is like the level 2 sword, I guess you could say. Does a little bit more damage than the wooden sword that we had before. So yeah, worthwhile upgrade. Make sure you grab that like ASAP. Now that we have that though, and the 2 heart containers, what do you say we make our way towards the first temple? Now I believe there is at least one more heart container we could get at this point, but to do that, I'm pretty sure we need the candle item, which costs 60 rupees from one of the various shops around Hyrule. And given the fact that we only have 8 rupees right now, yeah, we're not getting that anytime soon. Rupees are kinda hard to come by in this first game, unless you know where all the secrets are, so we're just gonna hold off on getting the candle until after we finish the level 1 temple. Then we'll go back through, you know, find some upgrades, get some heart containers, and so on and so forth. You're gonna want to do that quickly though, because, like I said, this game is pretty unforgiving, and the combat takes some getting used to, since, like, you can only attack up, down, left, and right, and when you attack, you lower your shield, so you do become vulnerable to projectiles. And, certain enemies, especially inside the temples, can move in, like, all directions, so yeah, it kinda stinks that, like, your combat is sort of segmented to a grid, whereas enemy movements can be all over the place. But obviously, that's just to make things a little more interesting. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because this is like an NES game, so you can't really expect too much from it. I mean, I'm still enjoying myself playing this game, you know, years later, but I just want to point out the changes, I guess you could say, in the combat system between, like, this game and something like A Link to the Past, where it's like the same overhead view, except in A Link to the Past, Link actually like swings his sword, so it does cover those diagonal angles, whereas in this game, Link sort of like stabs his sword forward, giving you only 4 directions that you can really point the sword in. But it's actually cool to see the progression of game development from just a few titles, like from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, which is entirely different, and then to the third Zelda, which would be A Link to the Past. And honestly, I think a big reason as to why Zelda 2 is so different is because at like this point in time, I really don't think Nintendo knew where they wanted to take the Zelda series in terms of game direction. So I mean, they experimented with the games, like they made Zelda 1, then they reinvented it with Zelda 2, then sort of went back to their roots with A Link to the Past, and at that point the technology advanced far enough that it allowed Nintendo to really solidify a lot of what makes up the modern day Zelda formula with A Link to the Past. And that's kind of why a lot of people, myself included, consider A Link to the Past to be one of the best 2D Zelda games, but also the grandfather to a lot of the modern day Zelda titles. But this game is where it all started, so it's crazy to think that even through all these years, we've never really had a bad Zelda game either. Like, you could say Zelda 2 is bad, but I think it's just because it's different. A lot of people don't like that it's different. To me, though, that doesn't make it a bad game, and sometimes it is cool to see something different every now and again. I mean, look at A Link Between Worlds. They completely changed the way that items work in that game, and I absolutely loved it. Not only that, like, A Link Between Worlds does harken back to the A Link to the Past days, as well as the Zelda 1 days, in terms of, like, exploration and freedom to go where you want to go, because that's one thing that I love about Zelda 1, is you can do pretty much anything right off the bat. Like, for instance, we're starting with the level 1 temple just because I want to go in order, but if we wanted to, we could go and start at like the level 3 temple. There's really nothing stopping us from doing that, so it's pretty cool, honestly. The downside of that is that, yeah, there are moments where the game doesn't really tell you what you should be doing or where you should be going, but I think like Nintendo does have a good idea of how to balance that in the future, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited for Zelda Wii U, because it's gonna have this huge open world, and if Nintendo sticks with like the current direction of Zelda games that they're going with, it sort of gives you more freedom to explore and do things the way that you want to do them. I think it's gonna be a really fun game. Now that I'm not distracted though, the old man that we saw like 2 rooms back talking about the East Peninsula, yeah, that's a hint at a secret that we can find in the overworld, so I guess keep that in mind. Anyways, yeah, another thing you might notice are like the different things that enemies will drop in this game. So enemies can drop a number of different things, from like hearts to rupees to bombs to that weird like stopwatch thing that I picked up. Now, you probably noticed, but the stopwatch allows you to freeze all enemies on the current screen, which is actually pretty useful in this game, although I don't believe the item ever shows up in like any other Zelda games. It might show up on one of the other 2D like Game Boy titles that I haven't actually played, so I could be wrong on that, but I don't recall it showing up in any games recently at least. So yeah, anyways, we got ourselves the bow item from this temple. Pretty sweet. Obviously you guys know the bow is like one of my favorite items in any Zelda game, so I'm glad that we got it so early on in this game. That being said, probably not going to use it too much because as of right now, our sword I think is more powerful than our bow, and I really don't think there's too many enemies that we can encounter right now that we really need to use our bow on, so I'll probably just stick to using my sword for the most part. Now that we got everything though, we're pretty much good to go and take on the boss, because I'm pretty sure I already got the boomerang from these guys, and we've got 4 hearts, so we're not doing too bad. All we gotta do is grab this key and avoid the floor masters, which really aren't too much of a threat. And here we go, guys. Ready? This is the first boss of the game. It's Aqua Mantis. He's a weird dragon thing with like a unicorn horn, and that is exactly where his weak spot is, so just hit that a couple of times, and yeah, he's dead. That's all there is to it. Aqua Mantis, really not that big of a threat, but we got ourselves in the heart container, and a piece of the Triforce. So there we go, guys. We did it. We completed the level 1 temple of the first Legend of Zelda game, and now we are back in the overworld. But you know what? I think that's a good place to end things off. So if you guys enjoyed this part, a like rating would be greatly appreciated. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. But once again, guys, my name is Matt. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.